Have you ever heard the phrase chronically online being used to describe music? It seems like a meaningless phrase at first, right? What does sound chronically online even mean? Well, from engaging with a lot of online music communities, I've seen some underlying patterns. But first, what isn't chronically online music? No, Weezer, King Crimson, and Swans aren't chronically online music. Stop it. These are artists who've been known well before the mainstream rise of the internet, with musical influence way outside of it. Weezer is mainstream. Everybody's heard at least one song from them. Swans was a Norway pioneer and influenced artists such as Björk and Tool, and King Crimson founded prog rock. Anyways, what makes chronically online music the way it is? Lyrical themes. Firstly, chronically online music, lyrically, is either very earnest or riffed in post-irony. Albums in the former category can still be tongue-in-cheek, though. For example, I Love My Computer by Ninajirachi has a song called Fuck My Computer, a song about her metaphorically falling in love with her computer and, well, wanting to. I view that album as the chronically online album. The cover referencing NEET/Hikikomori culture, the messy rooms with the wires and electronics all over, the chibi art splattered all around, and the music videos and songs all referencing the internet. In an interview about I Love My Computer, Ninajirachi says this: I generally think about my computer as being positive because I like the life I have right now, and that's thanks to this timeline. But also, my attitude towards it is generally matter of fact. It can be like your relationship with anyone, really. Thematically, albums in the former category often touch on themes of alienation, identity, love, and depression. For example, here's lyrics from Jane Remover's Let's Go Home. I fake it in class, but I wish I could turn and say hi to my friends without making the teacher think I was so crazy talking to a poster. These lyrics in particular depict Jane having parasocial relationships with artists to cope with her loneliness and generally feeling resigned to her circumstances. Her idealization of other artists is also mentioned in Eyes Off the Wheel, I'm a Star. You're talking about how you're a star and it makes me blush. The Whole of Reality shows Jane Remover's coming-of-age story in a small town and dealing with depression and gender dysphoria. There's also a lot of samples here referencing everything from Ariana Grande memes to Tamagotchi Life to Huel Hauser. It's like its own little digital collage. Generally, these albums also often mention internet or have online references. For example, I've Seen Footage by Death Grips is a song about seeing graphic content on the internet. I Stay Noided, stimulation overload account for it, desensitized by the mass amounts of shit. As for albums in the ironic category, they tend to feature a lot of chronically online references and have a generally playful feel. For example, Scaring the Hoes by JPEGMAFIA and Danny Brown is filled with cheeky references to internet culture, such as the title of the song Lean Beef Patty, as well as satirizing their own perception as hoe scaring music.
They don't even come outside, don't even see man's late night like Conan. They offer that 2-chair high and sales just can't let it go like Frozen.
JPEGMAFIA's discography is filled with ironic references to the internet. He was described as a post-internet artist in a 2020 article by District magazine, and has mentioned that his music depicts his experiences on the internet as well as acts as a critique on internet culture. He uses irony as a way of highlighting the surreal nature of interactions and content online. Chronically online music tends to draw from many different genres. Genre blending has been on the rise recently, and it's awesome. But you especially see this with music that's most popular online. The artists in this category make experimental scattered music, which feels like amplified versions of their influences. Every minute or so, there's a beat switch or a structural change. Take Kodeka, for example. I discussed this in an older video, Kodeka and the internet. But artists like Kodeka draw inspiration from so many different artists that it turns into his own distinctive sound that's hard to pinpoint, messing genres together and warping it. He's also known for his grand build-ups and drum breaks. There's even a YouTube compilation of his best ones. Underscore's Wall Socket is also a great example of genre blending, incorporating elements of electropop, indie rock, indie-tronica, and noise pop. The genres in the tracklist are eccentric and rapidly switch up, yet still manage to remain cohesive. For example, the track Locals, Girls Like Us with Gabby Start is a very energetic electro-pop and new rave track, followed by Duh, a significantly slower indie-tronica track. I often see people grouping her into a very broad hyperpop label, but I don't think that's accurate at all. It feels like an attempt to try and narrow down her sound to make it more marketable. My hypothesis is that the breakaway from concrete genres that I've observed in a lot of chronically online artists is also a result of a breakaway from concrete subcultures and a desire to evoke hyper-specific feelings with music versus trying to fit in a box. Another example of chronically online music I really love is Yo, one of my favorite artists of all time. They blend elements of glitch pop, alternative rock, ambient, and electronic. A more pessimistic take on the semi-death of concrete genres and rise of experimental structures would be explaining it away by citing declining attention spans among Gen Z. However, I'm more likely to view it more positively, instead seeing it as a result of increased accessibility to music production tools and a result of the interconnectivity of online culture. But the presence of Drain Gang in online memes, as well as the music itself, is a prime example of hyper-online communities. Artists in Drain Gang such as Bladee are very visible in meme culture. Even meme pages which don't even post about music are bound to have at least a few posts related to Drain Gang. In spite of their meme status though, all of Drain Gang actually make very earnest music. This is what Bladee had to say about the meaning of drain in a 2018 interview. Drain is about loss and gain. It could be good or bad. You could be drained of energy or you could drain something to gain energy. There's financial, emotional, and physical drains, for example. You could just be draining your bank account in the store. It doesn't have to be deep. Basically, if I'm talking about eating the night, it means I drain it for its essence. Additionally, the music and covers of Drain Gang is whimsical. The covers are filled with saturated colors with tons going on. Just look at this cover from Back to Life and Ice Dancer cover, for example. It's almost overwhelming how much is going on, especially the Ice Dancer cover. Try and pinpoint what the fuck is going on in this image. I love it. 2020 alt TikTok. Look, I'm aware this sticks out like a sore thumb compared to all the other artists mentioned here, but I really can't talk about chronically online music without addressing the artists that belong to this online subculture. I don't make fun of 2020 alt TikTok a lot, but I think it was a very interesting look at the first online alternative subculture. 100 Gecs was extremely big then, as well as other sugary hyperpop songs like Sugar Crash and Rat. Similar to what I mentioned earlier, these songs are quick-paced and amplified. These songs backdrop videos with oversaturated filters, monster energy drinks, and candy. Other artists like Willwood, Lemon Demon, and Tally Hall also follow similar patterns to what I mentioned earlier with chronically online genres. I listened to Willwood for the sake of this video, most notably the Normal album. And the theatrical, consistently evolving sound of the album perfectly illustrates this point I'm trying to convey. It feels like the music is just like switching up before you could even catch up with it. Chronically online music in this category tends to be more quirky or fall under K-core, as often derogatorily described as, and is more poppy. Overall, the descriptor of chronically online music is greatly influenced by the people who engage with it. To no surprise, a lot of the artists that make chronically online music are chronically online and are aware of their online status. Take Femtanyl and Machine Girl's Spotify bios, for example. We are online, we are online. Don't worry, Machine Girl isn't real. You can go back to sleep, which is a reference to the "don't worry, blank is not real" meme. It's for this reason that I view Joey Valance and Bray as a very under-discussed example of chronically online music. They are basically nerdcore for the internet age. I was very mixed on hyperyouth, but one thing I found interesting about it was its references to current pop culture. Punk tactics had blown up due to animation memes, and they frequently used TikTok and Instagram to promote their music. They are so online. No wonder JPEGMAFIA collabed with them. Remember how I mentioned a wall socket from earlier? Did you know that it had a series of fake websites and an ARG? Another very neat thing about chronically online artists and the internet's use in distributing music is how creative artists can get with how they market and build worlds around their music. In the case of Wall Socket's Worldbuilding, she says this: the Worldbuilding was inspired by a love of rabbit hole album rollouts like the screenplay and short film companions to Childish Gambino's Because the Internet, cryptic ARGs like Halo 2's I Love Bees campaign, and Cloverfield's mysterious promotional website. I think music has this very incredible ability to transport people somewhere just by listening to it. Chronically online music also tends to be made and enjoyed by queer people.
The gay music jokes didn't come out of nowhere. Chronically online music is so queer because a lot of queer people, myself included, often find ourselves alienated from people in real life and thus retreat to the internet for community.
Social media is very flawed. I have multiple videos on this. However, one thing I'll always be grateful for is its ability to connect you with people all across the world. Additionally, it's the reason I'm even able to talk about music on this channel. Otherwise, I'd be restricted to talking about music with my friends or sending my writing to newspapers, which would have significantly limited my reach. I love most chronically online music because it's a great reflection of the age we live in now. People often say that the 2020s don't have a defining identity, or that it's only shrouded in nostalgia baiting, but I'd say that the rise of these artists proved that wrong. Yes, some of the artists I mentioned here, Death Grips, JPEGMAFIA, Machine Girl, etc., are carryovers from the 2010s, but the majority of chronically online music, as observed here, is from the 2020s. Additionally, both JPEGMAFIA and Machine Girl had blown up in the 2020s. Ghost by Machine Girl had blown up on TikTok around 2020 to 2021, and JPEGMAFIA blew up after the immense success of Scaring the Hoes in 2023. Besides that, a lot of these chronically online artists inspire me and my own art because I'm also very interested in the internet and hypersurveillance, and have also admittedly been very terminally online in the past. I love how expressive and sincere chronically online music is. It gives me hope as another creator seeing young artists like Jane Remover, who's 22, being able to freely express themselves and find communities that love them through the internet. I think these online spaces created through these artists is beautiful. These artists are chicken soup for the people with more than 6 hours of screen time a day. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked the video, press a like. If you disliked the video, press a dislike and let me know why you disliked it in the comments below. As always, I'm Gabs and have a nice day.